Hey guys, it's your girl B Boss back again with another segment of Voice of the Stars. And today we're going to be having our first ever Black History Month program. Today we are going to welcome to the stage a very wonderful lady who has been here many times on the show. Thank you so much for that. Please welcome to the stage Miss Queen of Vernon.
Hi, Miss Nia. How are you today?
Hello, Miss Queen of Vernon. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. What a lovely song that you're playing.
Yes, thank you.
Quite welcome. I love that song because it has a message to us.
So how was your Valentine's Day?
Well, it was another day for me. How about you?
It was nice.
Okay, great.
Okay, so as you know, it's Black History Month, and I would like to talk to you about some of the things that we should be talking about almost every day in our lives, but it's more powerful, I would say. So let's get started. What is the greatest thing to you about being Black?
That's really a wonderful question. I like being Black because Black people are people who are able to survive, have survived throughout the years through all the turmoil, slavery, being beat, being burned, being lynched, and we still survived. We were able to eat, we were able to love one another. We are wonderful people. We're survivors. Just like this picture, the strongest people in the world are those most protected. They are the ones that must struggle against adversity and obstacles and surmount them to survive. So we're survivors. We are truly survivors in this world.
How do you think the history of African Americans has affected the presence of African Americans?
Well, the history of African Americans, that's a difficult question because our history goes back, starting with slavery, when we were born over here, against our will, and not being able to read, not being able to understand the language, which forced us to want to learn how to read early on when slaves were brought here, and so that helped us to become strong people. However, today, we have free educations and our kids don't want to go to school. They don't want to read. They want to be disrespectful. We were very respectful people, had a lot of pride in who we are as a people. We respected all our elders. If my mom was living today, I'm 67 years old, I would never curse in front of her. And these kids, they cuss just like it's a normal thing, no respect. If we go back to being who we are as a people, loving and kind and caring, I think that we will grow and become united again, Today, we are so far from being united. We are so distant. It's about me, and I. It's not about us as a group of people. Our leaders don't. I just can't say much about the leaders that we have because I think most of our leaders are about not the masses, not thinking about the masses of African American people. A lot of them are sellouts. They will do whatever it is for dime. Instead of saying, man, I can't do that because it's not helping us as a people. It's not helping us to grow. However, I believe, I may not be here to see it, that we will grow and started, becoming the people that we are born, the people that we are. We're born happy people. We are very happy people. You walk down the street and you say hello to people, they don't speak, they frown, We weren't like that. We were laugh and joyous people, although we were beat down, we were in slavery, we were, racism existed where we couldn't drink out the water fountains where white people did. And we still were loving people. We were able to eat, we didn't have a lot of money, but we were able to enjoy life. We can't enjoy life because when we walk outside, we're looking to see who's walking behind us. We're afraid today. We're afraid for our children. We're afraid for our neighborhood. We're afraid for seniors. We are the only people that like what is being done to our people is white folks. It's not a big deal to them because, that's more power for them. They don't have to say, let's destroy the black communities because we destroy them ourselves.
Okay, how have black people probably surprised the Caucasian ethnicity in the past by accomplishments such as Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, George Washington Carver, or Madam C.J. Walker, and many others?
I'll repeat that question. I have to, I'm a little old now. I have to think about what you're saying.
How do you think black people have probably surprised the Caucasian race?
Did you say surprise?
Yes, surprised them with our accomplishments.
Well, first of all, if we think back, they never thought we would accomplish anything. And they have learned, it surprised them by realizing that we are able to do what they can do and even do it well. One of the things that I look at our past President Obama, I still call him President Obama, they never thought that he was as smart as he is. He's a smart black man. And the present president has to always bring his name up, talk about he's smarter than him, and Obama. But a lot of things that he does say about President Obama, it's not true. It's not facts. And he's constantly saying fake news. He puts out more fake news than anybody because he can't deal with the fact that he was a very, very smart black man. And most black men are very smart. Even the ones that haven't gone to school, they're smart men. If they channel their energy into a positive direction, we can accomplish a lot. We can accomplish a lot for our people if we do things differently. But we cannot accomplish anything being divided. Because they have divided us now, they can conquer us. You can conquer anything and anybody to divide them because they're not on one accord. We're not trying to come together. We're going further and further and further apart, And doing that, it's not good for us. It's really not good. And at some point in time, I really believe the younger people, younger, 18, 17, 16, I think they're going to help to change this world. And not only the world going to change, not just because of the black kids, it's going to be white kids that's going to help. Other races, all these young folks going to band together and stick together and change this world. They need to get these old white people in office that act like George Wallace did, they think that the country should be led one way. They need to get them out of office and get some younger people in there. And that way, I think we will have a better outcome for everybody in America, not just white folks, everybody.
Okay. Do you think the African American race of 2018 have lived up to the expectations of our ancestors?
No. The African American people of 2018? No. And I say that it is because of the fact that we're so segregated in our communities, African Americans. At one point in time, everybody, we were living amongst each other. We were not divided as a people, but today we are divided as a people. And for a perfect example is, I think I told you this before, all of these mega churches, if these mega black churches get together, they can own half of everything on the south side of Chicago and build up this neighborhood for our children. Our children need they need to see positive black males that's doing something, but they can't see very many positive black males except for on TV. They can't walk out that door and see a Michael Jordan or attorneys, in certain neighborhoods. But at some point in time, you can walk out the door and say, oh, attorney so-and-so live across the street. Although the person that was saying it is on food stamp. So that's a community that can come together that's saying that we all can live together. It doesn't matter that I make 50,000 and you have none. I make 200,000. We still live together. Go down to Chinatown. Everybody. I said it before and I'm going to keep saying it. Go down there, you will see all the people living together. And the rich people, you don't know one from other, but they all live in their community. Go down, I said it again, go down 26 California. That's the jail. But in their community, they live together, and I said this, and I said it before. They own everything in their community. There are no Arabs in their community. They own it. They sell it to their people, and they build up their community. We can't do it. I don't care what happens in this world. We cannot do it because integration has told us that we can integrate into a community, into the society where everybody lives. So we choose to live outside of where we should be living, so that we can help each other become better people and families.
And to follow off of that question, as you said, no, we have not lived up to the expectations. How do you think we could?
And how I think we could? Look, one of the things that we need to do is men become responsible for their children, to help to build, especially the male children. I think the male children been disserviced, which is not a word, but based on the fact that the men are constantly having sex, having babies, but they're not there for their children, not the men to help them to grow and develop into men. If we don't start doing that, then nothing will change. However, even though the father is not in the home, they don't make it that you can't be a good person, you can't become a man, because there are mentors out here that should be mentoring the kids. But look at it. We got men 40 years old in gangs, and then got their son 20 here in the gang. Then got a grandson 15. They all in gangs. How is that helping your community and your children? So we have to come together and decide what we want to do and how we can do it to make our communities better, make our children better, make our people better. And the media, they portray our kids as bad, all of this, but there's some good, our kids are good kids. We have loving kids out here, but they won't put that on the news. They won't show it. They show all of these kids with the guns. They have guns. But until they do something about the law in regards to the guns, then nothing's going to change. It's like we live in the wild, wild west. And we have to come up with a solution as to what we can do. And one of the things that I really think that can be done is that the women, even though we may not have a man in the house, we need to empower women to come up and stand up so that we can empower our men to become men, to do the things that they can do, to help each other, help their children, help somebody else's child, and help the Black people.
Okay, I ask this question about every interview. What book are you reading?
Oh, this is really funny. I'm reading 3 Negro classics, small short stories, and one is Up From Slavery by Booker T. Washington, The Souls of Black Folks by William Du Bois, and The Autobiography of an Ex-Colored Man by James Weldon Johnson. And I'm telling you, they are something that I think everybody should read, because it tells a story. It tells us about us not being able to read. White folks didn't want us to read, because when you have knowledge, you can do something about being beat down, being enslaved. But if you keep knowledge away from someone, if you can't read and know about what's going on, then that stop you from saying, well, I'm going to get away from this life. But once these men, they were reading about the lack of education, they were writing about the lack of education in during the time when they were growing up, And then the autobiography of an ex-colored man um, was an excellent short story. He was talking about a child born in the South, moved to Connecticut where he was free and was able to get an education, go to school with white and black children. And actually, because his dad was white, he thought he was white.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a surprise when he found out that he was a black man, And the story went from there and telling about all of his experiences as a black man, living as a white man, or people thinking that he was white, but he'd identified with a black man up until later on in life when he got married. He ended up engaged to a white woman, but he was wrestling with himself in regards to whether I should tell this woman that I'm black and not white because the woman thought he was white.
Mm-hmm.
But he ended up telling her that he was a white man. They got married anyway, and the story almost ended there because his wife passed,
mm-hmm.
And he raised his children. It didn't tell us whether he raised them as black people or white people, but he did end up being the parent that was raising his two children. So, but I would tell, I would suggest, not tell, you can't tell anybody what to do. Suggest this book for anybody to read. I mean, absolutely. I'm gonna read it again because I think I missed some things, and I really wanted to read it detail to detail. I read it really quickly because my granddaughter is at the University of Iowa, and she was reading it, and she was telling me about it. And I had read it really years ago. And I said, you know what, I'm going to read it again. So she and I discussed it, after I read it. I actually sat up one night and read the entire book because I couldn't put it down. And I sat up and then I called her and we talked about it. So this is the book that I'm reading. And another good book for us to read is The Miseducation of the Negro. It tells us about we've been educated not to be entrepreneurs, not to own our business, but how we've been miseducated in this world.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just tells that story. So that's another good book to read.
And speaking of the miseducation of the Negro, what are some ways that you think African Americans have been miseducated?
Oh, African Americans have been miseducated. The education system was never set up for African American children to really learn. We lack education because of the way the system is set up. We lack education because we lack parent involvement into our schools. And years ago, kids went to school. They were learning. And I am a person that really believe that you can't teach all children the same, as I said before. And I also believe that African American children, the curriculum should not be the same as it is for white kids because we learn differently. Mm-hmm. And until we learn how to, teach our children, then we're going to have kids who are far, far behind. If we get together as people and do something about the educational system, I contend that people who have children that have gone through school and they have not done well, they can't read or write, and they have gone through 12th grade and graduated. I believe that social media is a big thing to get together. Started sending messages to people. Let's sue the Board of Education because they have failed our children. So, and I know our kids can learn, but they're not all of them, because a lot of our children are learning. I have 5 grandchildren in college, so I know they're learning, but I'm talking about the fact that the educational system is failing our children today, and they can do better. We should have the same thing on the south side of Chicago as they do on the north side. They have computers on their desk. We should have computers on our desk. If whatever they have, we all pay taxes, so everybody should have the same educational system for their children. It shouldn't be different in the public school.
And while we're talking about education, I know you're not a teacher, but I would like to ask you, as someone who is older and more towards like the type of racism, even though it's still present today.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's been many incidents in schools that you hear on the news about how people are teaching slavery as if it was something that our ancestors got paid for, and as if it was just like something they signed up for and were hired for. So, what do you think is a better way to explain what slavery really was? Because it was not at all a system where they got paid and where they were doing this for something for their time and for fun.
Yes. I think that goes back to the home. We don't teach our children about our people. We don't teach our children where they come from. Until we start doing that, then they don't know. They think kids today think they were born with gold chains on their neck and gym shoes on their feet and eyelashes on their eyes that's 2 feet long, and without being real. Teach them about who they are as a person, as people, as a African American person. Until we teach them about where we come from, I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh, that was back in the day." But if you don't know where you come from, you don't know where you're going. So you have to teach children about who we are, how strong we are as a people, how strong they are and how strong they can be if they just do things differently.
You say about how, like, since it was back in the day, my favorite line from the song "I'm Not Racist" by Joyner Lucas is probably when the young black man was saying, "Just because I wasn't picking cotton physically doesn't mean that I'm not affected by the history."
That's true.
Because the history really does affect us, and it should affect us more as the people that we are today.
Mm-hmm.
But as you said, there's a lot of people running around creating all this music that is degrading and disrespecting people, and it's really disrespecting disrespectful to the people who are creating the music themselves. It gives them a bad image for some people who know that this is not the type of music to listen to. Mm-hmm. But I mean, kids nowadays, I know that at parties and stuff, they want to have fun and they want to let loose, but like sometimes on a daily basis, these songs are being listened to all over the place and just sung as if it's nothing and it's second nature. But I think that a real way is that the music is a very diverse thing, and it really can relate to a lot of different cultures and races.
Absolutely.
That's what I really love about music. But I think that music should really relate to who you are as a person. And if you're not the kind of person who you are portraying with your music, then why be that way? So,
well, that's because why are you behaving you that acting that way, whatever the music is saying? Well, what I believe is that the music that the children listen to today and adults listen to is so demeaning. And because if you keep saying the same thing over and over and over and over again, hearing it in your head, because music is something that stays in your head. You keep repeating and singing it over and over, And if you keep saying, "My mama is a bitch," and you say it every day, you're going to keep thinking that, she is, my children is, my sister is. But if you think about, and they started making songs about love, and the reason that the 60s was so powerful, and the 70s, and the 50s was people, they sung about loving people, they wasn't singing about everybody demeaning women, and I know years ago, men, they had a wife, some of them had a girlfriend, but the thing about that, they still were men. The wife might not have knew about the girlfriend, but they always took care of their children. I know someone who worked on the weekends. He worked practically 7 days a week. But he never let anything interfere with his family that he was married into, you know. But on the weekend, that money was to take care of his outside children. And that's why I say they were men at that time, but we ain't got no men. They don't even want to buy god doggone pop. You know, they want somebody to always give them, give me this, I need that, give me. I mean, what is this? How did we come to that in life? And I've said it again, these entitlement programs for men have destroyed the black community. That's why they don't work. That's why they stand on the corner. That's why they hustle, And sometimes the people that you see that have never worked a job don't mean that they don't have side jobs like construction jobs that they go into homes and build up. I know a lot of people that don't have never worked and pay taxes, but they still work. They still make legal, legitimate money, and we can say it's illegal money because they're not paying taxes, but they ain't not beating up nobody, they ain't robbing nobody, they ain't giving no drugs to nobody, and I always keep going back to drugs and because I see so many people who sell drugs to their mother, sell drugs to their sister. How can you, as a man, actually think it's okay to give your mama drugs and your sister and your girlfriend? At one time, but men that use drugs, their women they dare not give drugs to their women and wouldn't want them to use them. But today, they give them to anybody. They even give them to the kids. So I'm just like, what is going on in this world? I don't know.
Well, it is a lot happening, and I think Black History Month is a great time to talk about it and really embrace it. I think that this is more of a time where a lot of Black people can really gather together and kind of relate and talk. It depends on if you want to or if you don't, and it just really has. It can touch so many things. Black history, it touches more than just slavery.
Yes,
it touches more than just poverty. It touches so many issues
in life.
So thank you for being here today.
You're quite welcome, and thank you for having me. And I just want to say one thing. If Black women, if we can get together, and white women can join too, we can get together and start empowering and talking about issues and concerns that we can do to help our community, how we can change things in our community. I think if we start, I think the men will start catching on and start being parents and not friends to our children. I think that would help also, and stop trying to give kids everything but what they need. And all children need is love. You can buy a kid a dollar toy and they will cherish it to the day they die. But if you don't give them love and don't give them any of your time, that $1,000 chain, $1,000 coat, or $200 shoes don't mean a thing to kids. Because it's all surface things. It's on the outside. Nothing is on the inside. And we have gotten away from going to church. I don't preach church is this and church is that. But I do know one thing. We were taught right from wrong. We were taught the Bible is really a good thing, a guide to live by. And it does not mean that you are wrong what you believe in and I'm wrong for what I believe in. It's just that we need to have some kind of guide to start with in order to see where we're going to end up. And thank you again for having me, and you have a wonderful evening.
And before you go, I'd like to give you this card from me and the staff from Voice of the Stars.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I will share this.
Just a thank you card, for being here. So is Queen of Vernon. I hope you have a nice rest of Black History Month.
I definitely will, because I have a lot of events to go to. And I will be, actually, I have a speaking engagement. I think it's Wednesday. I have a speaking engagement Wednesday from 7 to 8. The flyers are out and about. And because of the limited seating, I think we've all sold out for that. So I will not disclose the location of it because I was told that there were no more seats available for people to attend.
Okay.
Okay.
And for next week, y'all be prepared. I'm going to do a review for Black Panther because I'm so ready to see that movie. I was hyped for it since I first saw the trailer. And congrats to it for making over $200 million.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, in the box office.
I am thrilled. I'm going to go one day. As a matter of fact, Tuesday, I probably will just take a matinee, just go to the theater and sit and just watch it. And then I will critique it because everybody that I know that have seen it said it's great. So hooray for the movie that we are the stars in this time.
Okay. So be prepared for that next week, guys. Today, for this video, there will be, in addition to my social media, I will not only be having a Facebook link to my YouTube page, I will have one to my group, Our Race Matters. So click on that. Make sure you join, and because we have discussion every Black History Month, starting on the 15th, the day after Valentine's Day, Black History Month trivia. So if you guys would like to engage in that, comment down below. Go to the description box. Make sure that you like and subscribe for more Voice of the Stars.
Great. That is good. You're doing wonderful things.
Thank you.
For such a young lady.
Thank you.
You have a wonderful day.
You too.
Wonderful evening, I should say. Thank you.
See you soon, BB fam.